Hymir's poem. In bygone days, the slaughter gods had a good bag from hunting. They were keen to drink before they got enough. They shook the twigs and looked at the augury. They found that at Aegir's was an ample choice of cauldrons. The mountain dweller sat there, cheerful as a child, very like the mash blender's son. Odin's son looked into his eyes in defiance. You shall often prepare a feast for the Aesir. The contentious man annoyed the giant. He thought of how to avenge himself soon on the god. He asked Sif's husband to fetch him a cauldron in which I can brew the ale for all of you. Nor could the glorious gods, the mighty powers, get one anywhere, until, privately, Tyr, in trustworthy friendship, gave vital good advice to Hloridi. To the east of Elivâgar lives Hymir, the very wise. At the sky's end, my father, the brave man, owns a cauldron, a capacious kettle, a league deep. Do you know if we can get that liquid boiler? If, friend, we use trickery to do it. Then they journeyed hard that day and far from Asgard until they came to Egil. He secured their goats with splendid horns. They headed for the hall which Hymir owned. The lad found his grandmother. Very ugly she seemed to him. 900 heads she had, and another woman, all gold-decked, walked forward, with shining brows, bearing beer to her boy. Kinsmen of giants, I'd like to seat you two valiant men under the cauldrons. My beloved, on many occasions, is stingy to guests, prone to enmity. Misshapen, stern-minded Hymir came back late from hunting. He entered the hall. The icicles tinkled when he came in. The old man's cheek forest was frozen. Greetings, Hymir. Be of good humour. Now our son has come to your hall, he whom we'd expected on his long journeyings. Hrod's adversary accompanies him. The friend of warriors, Thor is his name. See where they sit, under the hall gable. They protect themselves so with a pillar in front of them. Asunder the pillar splintered at the giant's gaze, just before the crossbeam broke in two. 8 kettles smashed to pieces. But one of them, a strong-forged cauldron, fell whole from the peg. Forward they went, and the ancient giant turned his gaze on his enemy. His mind didn't speak encouragingly to him when he saw the one who makes the giantess weep walking across the floor. Then 3 bulls were taken. The giant ordered them quickly to be boiled up. Each one they made shorter by a head, and bore them off into the cooking pit. Sif's husband ate before he went to bed. On his own he ate right up 2 of Hymir's oxen. It seemed to Hrungnir's grey-haired friend that Hloridi had consumed a considerable amount. Tomorrow evening we 3 must live on food that we have hunted ourselves. Thor said that he wanted to row out in the bay, if the bold giant would give him bait. Go to the herds if you've the guts for it, mountain giant breaker, to look for bait. I expect that it'll be easy for you to get bait from the oxen. The young man hastened smartly to the woods. There stood an ox, jet black before him. The ogre slayer broke off from the bull the horn's high meadow, tore off its head. Hymir said, "Your deed seems much worse, captain of ships, than if you had sat still quietly." The Lord of Goats told the ape's offspring to row the launchway horse out further, but the giant said, for his part, he wasn't eager to row further out. The brave and famous Hymir alone caught 2 whales at once on his hook, and back in the stern Odin's kinsman Thor cunningly laid out his line. The protector of humans, the serpent's soul slayer, baited his hook with the ox's head, the one whom the gods hate. The all-lands girdler, from below, gaped wide over the hook. Then, very bravely, Thor, doer of great deeds, pulled the poison-gleaming serpent up on board. With his hammer he violently struck from above the hideous one, the wolf's intimate brother's head. The sea-wolf shrieked, and the rock bottom re-echoed all the ancient earth was collapsing. Then that fish sank itself into the sea. The giant wasn't as jolly as they rowed back. At first, Hymir didn't say a word. He swung round the rowing, completely changed tack. "You'll be doing half the work with me, if you carry the whales home to the farm, or pen up our floating goat." Hloridi went forward and gripped the prow. Alone he lifted the sea stallion with its bilge water, with oars and bailer. He brought the giant sea pigs home to the farm, through the hollow in the wooded ridge. And still the giant, habitually contentious, strove with Thor about his strength. He said no man was strong, even if he could row mightily, if he could not smash the goblet. And quickly Thor, when he laid hands on it, smashed through the towering stone with the glass. Sitting, he slung it through the columns. They carried it whole back to Hymir. Until the beautiful beloved lady gave him vital friendly advice which she knew. "Smash it on Hymir's skull, the food-sated giant's. That's harder than any goblet." The strong man, lord of goats, rose, bracing his knees, brought all his divine power to bear. Whole was the old man's helmet stump above, and the round wine vessel broke apart. "Great treasures I know I've lost, when I see the goblet leaving my lap," the old man announced. "Never again can I say, 'Ale, you are brewed.' Now it's up to you, if you can manage to take the beer boat out of our court." Tyr tried twice to move the cauldron. Both times the cauldron stayed immovable. Modi's father took it by the rim, and he stamped down through the floor in the hall. Sif's husband lifted the kettle up on his head. The handle rings jingled at his heels. They had gone a long way, when Odin's son looked once behind him. He saw from the boulder heaps, from the east with Hymir, a many-headed army marching along. He lifted from his shoulders the outstanding cauldron. He swung Mjolnir before him, keen to kill, and he struck down all the lava whales. They hadn't gone a long way before Hloridi's goat collapsed, half dead, in front of them. The draft beast was lamed to a curse this malevolent Loki had caused. But you have heard this. Anyone wiser about the gods may tell it more clearly. What recompense he got from the lava dweller, and how he paid for it with both his children. The mighty one came to the gods' assembly, bringing the kettle which Hymir had owned, and the gods will drink in delight ale at Aegir's every winter.